On August 15th, Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan, fell to Taliban forces. This came as a shock to U.S. officials and Afghans alike because they thought they had more time before Kabul would fall. The most shocking part was that all of Kabul fell with no resistance. Though this turn of events may not seem to affect us personally now, this can lead to problems in the future like another war. After the takeover of Kabul, Taliban forces are not only in control of the entire country, but were left with billions of dollars of military equipment. With this equipment in their hands, this could cause future problems, not only with the Taliban themselves, but with our other foreign enemies. I've done an extensive amount of research to help better my understanding on the situation so I can better inform my audience on it. First, I will talk about what led up to the takeover of Kabul and how U.S. officials and the Afghan government thought they were more prepared. Second will be August 15th, and the day the capital fell, and how the U.S. government failed to keep the situation from getting worse. And last, I will go over what the takeover could lead to and what it could mean for the future relations with the Taliban and other foreign enemies. Before the fall of Kabul, the war against the Taliban went on for 2 decades, ending with the takeover of Afghanistan. To help start the fall of Afghanistan, there was one event. In February of 2020, the Trump administration signed a peace deal with the Taliban in Qatar, agreeing to withdraw its troops in 14 months. In return, the Taliban promised not to attack American troops and their allies and to open a negotiation with Kabul. Fast forward a year and 2 months later, and the U.S. is now under Biden administration. Biden moved the withdrawal date up to August 31st, while the Taliban have not been keeping their end of the deal, by sweeping and taking over major provinces in Afghanistan. In a transcript of a White House briefing on whitehouse.gov with President Biden, a reporter asked him, "Is a Taliban takeover of Afghanistan now inevitable?" Biden simply responds with, "No, it is not." Meanwhile, the Taliban are still taking more and more control of Afghanistan. These two events, the peace deal that was made and the supported decision to withdraw troops from Afghanistan, seemingly sealed its fate. All that's left was the icing on the cake, or in this scenario, the surrender of Afghan troops. Afghanistan had over 300,000 well-equipped troops ready to fight, which was well over the estimated number of Taliban troops ranging from 58,000 to 100,000. And just like that, the army that was built up for 20 years had collapsed. Now that the Taliban had captured all the major provinces and security checkpoints, there was only one place left to capture: Kabul. August 15th. Everything was in control of the Taliban except for Kabul. Though this was alarming, Afghan and U.S. officials were not expecting Kabul to fall so quickly. At the presidential palace in the heart of Kabul, everything seemed normal. Meetings were going as usual, and though some officials were panicked, they were reassured they had until August 31st, the day that all U.S. troops would be withdrawn from the country. In an article by the New York Times, they used a statement from Majan Mateen, a senior communications manager in the palace. A lot of reassurances were given. The American and British troops were still there. We were living our lives normally. Though that sense of normalcy did not last long. In the palace, most of the staff was dismissed for lunch. While everyone was gone, an official informed the president that the Taliban had entered the palace searching for him and that they need to leave, though this proved to be false. The president was told he'd be killed, obviously convincing him that he should leave. Without telling anyone, including any U.S. government officials, the president fled Kabul. Many of the officials who were dismissed for lunch came back, realizing that the president was gone. They too followed suit. The last hope was a meeting with Taliban leader Baradar and U.S. military officials. The Taliban had caught wind of the evacuation and told the U.S. that either we secure Kabul or they leave it for the Taliban to take over. Unfortunately, U.S. officials had to follow the president's orders, thus leaving the country for the Taliban to take. And just like that, the heart of Afghanistan government had collapsed. With this hasty withdrawal, the U.S. also left billions of dollars worth of military supplies, including Humvees, Black Hawks, planes, and weapons. And this is a picture of all the Taliban in the palace, presidential palace, and you can see some of them have American assault rifles. With these billions of dollars worth of military equipment, the Taliban can now focus on strengthening their army or can sell these very powerful pieces of equipment to our foreign enemies. Now with Afghanistan under Taliban control, it seems now nothing can overthrow them, especially with the new equipment they have left from the U.S. In an article by the New York Post detailing how much was left of the Taliban, it states, "But the current assessment is that it includes 2,000 armored vehicles, including U.S. Humvees and up to 40 aircraft, potentially including UH-60 Black Hawks, and scout attack helicopters and Scan Eagle military drones. With all this new equipment, this makes hard for any civil movement to overthrow the Taliban. The US won't intervene since our troops have already been pulled out, and other nations that are allies won't interfere as well. Not only are the Taliban a bigger threat than they were before, but they also can decide to sell a lot of this newfound equipment to other enemies like Russia or even China. This could result in other wars if our stronger enemies now have better equipment to possibly attack the US with. Though this is not very likely to happen, it is a possibility. In conclusion, Afghanistan is now under Taliban control, and there's no telling what this could lead to, due to the recentness of this tragic event. The fall of Afghanistan can't be put all on one person or choice. It was the miscommunication between the US and Afghanistan. That and the very panicked choices made by both countries, like the president leaving without telling anyone, and the hurriedness of the US troops leaving, resulting in the billions of dollars of equipment being left behind for the Taliban to freely use. No matter what, this truly was a tragic event.